no further ado, the one,
The only
Auntie Ellen.
Auntie Ellen.
Friends, Romans, and countrymen, lend me your ears. I come not, well, I forgot the rest anyway.
Oh, go run it. Right here. Hit us with the full Shakespeare now.
But I just want to thank you all for your kindness, your generosity. I've been on YouTube for about a year, but I didn't go live once because I felt nobody wants to listen to somebody that's been on Earth 80 years. And then guess what? I found out you really do listen and love
Yes,
me and love on me.
Yes,
absolutely.
And I
absolutely.
thank you.
Absolutely.
We thank you.
Yes. The honor is ours. The pleasure is ours.
Yes.
Careful what you wish. You could get it, and here I am.
It's possible, but I would think that if we are fortunate and blessed enough to, that would literally be double what I am now. Um, the things you must know, the things that you've seen, both contained and shared. I don't think that a lot of people in my age demographic and younger could even wrap their minds around it. Uh, Tell us about that, Auntie Ellen.
Okay. Well, when you go back, when you're putting your medical records in, it says 19 what? I have to go back for about 5 minutes to get to 1948. I was
Yeah.
born November 13th, 1948. I'm the eldest of 6 children.
Wow.
I grew up in Stamford, Connecticut, and I had my mom and dad there in the home. I had 4 grandparents. Two lived in North Carolina, two lived in Pennsylvania. My grandmother my maternal grandmother moved to Stamford, Connecticut because my mom had 6 kids. They got married when they were 17 and 21. And by the time mommy was 27, she had 6 kids. Can you imagine 6 kids?
Yeah.
Wow,
I don't know how they did it. And
that's a
I
lot.
also had my paternal great grandmother, and I have a picture with her. I always thought it was my grandmother, but no, it was Grandma Hope, who was born like in the 1870s something, just right after the Civil War. And to have that much history, that much cooking, that much stories. I had 3 or 4 uncles around town. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't get away with
Yes, ma'am.
anything. And by the way, my dad was 6'4", about 175, 180 pounds of country boy, strong and mean. He did not take tea for fever. You could be talking to boys. You could be talking to boys coming home from school, and he worked for, I want to say 40 years, his night job at a printing company as a janitor. And he would never quit that job, even though he owned a construction company, because it paid his insurance and he wanted to be able to provide for his children. His
Yes, ma'am.
parents had been sharecroppers in North Carolina, so he knew everything about gardening. He knew when the leaves were turning, when they were curling, when it was going to rain. And he used to say something that you say, says, keep on living. And he said, if you keep on living, you'll get to where I used to be.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
But I could be the boys would be talking to me, and we'd see one of daddy's dump trucks run through town. Man, they would take off. Nobody wanted to of Big Joe. His hands were
Yes, ma'am.
actually registered dangerous weapons in the state of Connecticut. He
Oh,
couldn't
wow.
touch anybody. So
Wow.
we lived when people got in fights or whatnot, nobody called the police. They'd go get my dad. They would go get my dad.
Yeah.
Husbands, wives used to get into it. Daddy go in there and say, all right, now don't hit her no more. That's enough of that. Come on, I'm
Yes,
going
ma'am.
to take her out of here. That's it. And that's
You
how
know,
I
Auntie
grew up.
Ellen, those are two very important things you touched on. One, the way you described your the way that your father, that is what it looks like when communities police themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
what it looks like when you keep things in house, you resolve issues in house. For one, during that time, in many ways, I believe we had to,
Mm-hmm.
or it was in our best interest to. And also, when you made a reference to the 1870s and what you just said a little bit earlier, uh, I was eager to ask. I was hoping that you fashioned it in such a way I didn't have to go around about to ask you. Does it ever bother you or bring any frustration when you have such a vivid memory and can recall relatives who were born in the 1800s or the early 1900s, but in current society, it's almost portrayed that all of these things were forever ago. I have a grandmother who was born in 1911, who had a younger brother because they also had about 9 children in this family. And she had an older brother that was born in 1898. How does that make you feel when you see, like, it's like, oh, that's ancient history, but you're alive, you have relatives that are alive. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes. As a matter of fact, my mom is 91, and
Yes, ma'am.
Sunday, and she has a Facebook page, y'all. She has
Oh, what?
all the newest iPhones, and she posted
Yes.
something on my Facebook. I always say go hard. I think that's what she meant to type, but she just put go. And to me, it's
Hmm.
such an honor at my age to have your 91-year-old mother posting on social media,
Yes,
telling
ma'am.
Yes.
me to go.
Yes. Yes.
And that was my job. They never went to college. I was the first generation of children on either side who went to college. I went to Howard
Wow.
University, an HBCU. For those
You
of you who
know.
don't know, it's a historically black college and university. I had
Yes,
a
ma'am.
full ride to the University of Connecticut, but all my family was here. Big Joe, all my uncles who would kill a rock about their daughter and niece. See, you
Yes,
didn't
ma'am.
want that. So I went to Howard so that I could be independent. Another thing, growing up in Connecticut in those years, they had the track system. What is the track system? You get tested when you're in elementary school, and that determines your placement throughout your school years.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom was a stay-at-home mom. I knew how to read and write a little bit at the age of 4 when I started elementary school. Sometimes you hear me say I did this and that at 4, before 4. 4 was a defining year for me because I actually started kindergarten in regular school. There was no preschool. My parents taught us. My grandparents taught us. My grandmother, in the evenings, instead of TV, we weren't allowed to watch TV. My grandmother would teach us how to knit, crochet. Well, not the knitting, because I think I told you I had 5 brothers and sisters, lots of cousins, and the knitting needles are a little pointed on each end.
Yes, ma'am.
I saw
Yes,
one of
ma'am.
my report cards from like kindergarten or first grade. My mother gave them all to me, and that said, Ellen is very good in school. She's very smart. She reads and writes very well, but sometimes she hits the other kids. Well, I got popped. If they messed up, they got popped too.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was the
Yes.
eldest and I had to keep order, keep order. Going back
Yes.
to high school, through elementary school, junior high school, and Howard University, I was actually a majorette. I still get goosebumps when I hear an HBCU band start up. Boom, boom, boom. Oh,
Yes,
Auntie
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
dancing. She's working. There's no parade until Auntie Ellen gets there in town. And
All
That's
you,
right.
right.
All right. All
you
right.
better know. And
Yes,
I can
ma'am.
dance. I can still dance a little something, something.
I
I
bet you
can.
I know you
can.
can.
I bet
Yes,
you can. You
Yes,
know, we TSU kind of people. You know, Howard, y'all. I want us. That's DC, right?
yes.
Yeah. You know, we kind of we in that Texas Southern area,
Mhm.
but we are very very huge fans of all the HBCUs.
Yes.
Baby sister went to
Grambling.
Grambling,
Grambling
went to
State.
Grambling State University. So, you know, Red River Classic. You know how South a little different. South a little
Florida
different, but
A&M, Morehouse, all those
yes,
colleges
ma'am.
we played. Oh, it was so much fun. But then
Tuskegee.
going through, like, we're only to like the 17, my age 17. I graduated from Howard when I was 21. I had a major in business and a minor in economics. So
Nice.
that was like during the DC riots and all of that, and they were looking for police officers. Now here's me, my 124-pound dancing majorette self. Somebody dared me to take the exam for the DC Police Department. I
Mm-hmm.
took it, I aced it. Then somebody dared me to take the physical. Well, I had been on the gymnastics team, played basketball, ran track, so I was always athletic, except I only weighed 124 pounds. I
Yes,
passed
ma'am.
everything. Then my job became gaining enough weight to weigh 135 pounds so that I could carry all my gear. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness. That was a job. You go to a
Yes.
hold up in progress and you see a couple of those 7-footers who've just been eating carbs for the last 20 years in the grease. And for bank robbery in progress, they look at me, 5'5", if I'm up on my toes, and they blink twice. I said, "Uh-oh, my uniform's gonna get dirty today."
Yes. Hey, that
So
is
I did
amazing.
that from, let's see, the time I was 23 until I was 29. When I was 24, I bought my first house by myself. It was an investment. And then later on, some years later, I bought a house, a homestead in North Carolina, raw land. I've owned houses in LA, out in the country. I've lived in big cities, small cities, off grid. I've had chickens, ducks, horses, cows, pigs. A funny story, when my grandkids were little, we bought a litter of pigs. And there were 6 of them. One was brown and white. The kids named him Spot. One was brown. His name was Brownie. One was black. And then the other were like mixed colors. Well, one of my nephews told my granddaughter that we were going to eat Brownie. What did he do that for? We're getting ready to make bacon out of Brownie. Nana, Nana. So we had to keep the pigs on other people's property. You
Wow.
you name it, canning. My grandmother's canned, my mother canned. We always had a garden growing up, and we always fed everybody. You could go and you could pick stuff if you wanted at the neighbors. Just you couldn't damage the plants. Every spring, Daddy would get a load of, oh my gosh, cow manure, and we had a garden that was down the street from the house. But honey, that stuff was right. You smelled it everywhere. Fish
Yes.
emulsion, fish
Yes.
emulsion. We grew up using all that stuff.
Yes,
Mhm.
ma'am. Yes,
Mhm.
ma'am.
Cooking from scratch wasn't no going to the store and getting Campbell's cream of mushroom to go in the in the cornbread dressing. No,
Right.
you made the cornbread. You made the
Right.
biscuits.
Woo.
You made
Yes,
everything
ma'am.
from scratch. You didn't buy anything you didn't have to buy.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
I
That's
can remember
how.
mommy sending me to the store with $1, like when I was 4 or 5, and $1 would get a dozen eggs, a quart of milk, some bread, and some lunch meat.
Wow.
Auntie Ellen.
Yes.
Auntie Ellen, will you please, because you know right now folk talking about inflation. Please repeat for those who didn't hear.
Mhm.
She said, "What you say? Some
one
milk,
dollar,
$1
$1.
would get a dozen eggs,
Mhm.
a
Some
quart of
milk.
milk,
Uh-huh.
a loaf of bread, and some lunch meat.
Wow.
Whew.
Wow.
Y'all the before time. The long, long ago.
Yeah.
I that's I'm please continue, Auntie.
In,
I
in,
just
in my lifetime, I remember we were little and we lived in an apartment, and there used to be a coal man. The man used to come and he would have coal for the furnaces and rags. And in the wintertime, for extra storage, you just put a box on the windowsill. And in Connecticut 6B, it would be that cold. The
mhm.
milkman used to come and there would be a little metal box outside the door. This is in my lifetime. And he would put the milk in it. And there was a kind of milk called Golden Guernsey. And the top of the milk carton, I mean, the milk bottle, you could see was yellow in the cream. I'd always try to have my greedy self up to be the first one in so I could get the cream at the top. My grandmothers, they used to make their own butter. You know, we used
Yes,
to
ma'am.
churn it. We used to churn it. And then later on, they got a churn that was electric. When we
Yes.
used to go
Wow.
down in the summers, we would go when Daddy had vacation. We'd go spend a week in Pennsylvania and a week in North Carolina. Well, in Pennsylvania, my mom's family used to own a 400 acres, and they had a walk-in coal mine. And it's a now a historic landmark, the family cemetery. I can pull up the Thomas family cemetery in Hopwood, Pennsylvania, and I can see my grandfather's grave, his actual grave. His name was Wennerd, Whenerd, Thomas. They had a lot of German and Dutch names.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would leave there and go to, oh, and then the bathrooms were all outside.
Mm-hmm.
And like we
Outhouse.
have the houses. And it was the weirdest thing in Pennsylvania. Lots of places had outside bathrooms, but they were all like in a row. You know, it
Mm-hmm.
was, oh, we used to cry, we used to do everything, but you had to use them. We made friends. We loved all our cousins who had indoor bathrooms. We knew every cousin. I still love them the most. I still love them the most. And then we would go to North Carolina, and they were still raising cotton and tobacco.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to try to pick tobacco. I thought that was so cool the way they get
Oh,
three strands of tobacco, and they put the string on it, and they put it on like a horse and flip it over the other side. I wanted to make the 50 cents an hour that the women were making. Oh, just to have cash in my pocket because we worked at home, but we didn't get paid. My brothers
Right.
got
right.
paid for working on my dad's trucks and then tell them to give us a dollar. A dollar? I've been working in this stinking house all day and they work with daddy. They tell us to give us a dollar. I made sure all my life I had men's jobs. I've owned
Yes, ma'am.
construction companies, commercial construction companies. I helped with rebuild LA after the riots in LA.
Yes, ma'am.
I've had good jobs and I've been successful. But going back to growing up, when we went to North Carolina, my grandfather had an old mule that he used to plow with. So my cousins hooked it up to the tobacco sled. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. It was a long thing. We thought that was a real horse. Well, one of my cousins went around the corner too fast and the sled turned over and I fell
Oh,
out, skinned my legs up. Well, the next thing I know,
oh.
he was getting a switch and grandma was skinning his legs up, you
Whipping
know.
legs.
Literally
Yeah,
whipping them
yes,
legs.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. But those are the stories and why I started a YouTube channel because those are things that people don't even know exist.
Mhm.
And
Very
I want to
true.
be able to tell the stories and to bring them forward. Like now, the things that I do with my grandson. Well, actually, one of my I have one grandson, and he just happened to turn pro. Somebody mentioned him on his channel. He's a pro golfer,
Mhm.
Yes,
and
ma'am. Yes. Yeah, you mentioned yes.
yes, and he played the little movies but he didn't get paid because he was an amateur athlete. So he was in a movie called Little Loopers, and he played Tiger Woods. Why did they pick him to play Tiger Woods? Because he's half Asian, he's half Thai, he speaks Thai, everything. My great grandchildren are half Jamaican. And when they get to talking sometimes and making them peas and stuff, you hardly know when you go with that part of the family. And
Yes,
they're
ma'am.
in there making the brown sauce with the sugar
Mm-hmm.
in it and browning it
Yes,
and doing it
ma'am.
the real way, not with the stuff you buy at the store. I have nieces and nephews from Tanzania that have been there since the earth was born.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have nieces from Namibia. One of the things we do, like on family holidays, we had a race to see which one of my nieces could carry a 5 gallon thing of water on their head the furthest and fastest in Connecticut. Talking trash.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And
My 14-year-old great grandson is 6 feet tall, and he plays some pretty good basketball. He's always MVP. Well, I had some health issues going back a few years ago, as you know. So I went to my mom's homestead, and my family wouldn't let me go to a nursing home, anything. They insisted that I come home and they take care of me. My bedroom at mom's house was on the second floor. They would come up and bring a plate, my tray, 2 meals a day. I would have fruit and stuff in the middle of the day, come back up and get it. They would take me to therapy. They would take me to
mhm.
Tai Chi, everything I needed. And
Yes, ma'am.
then when I got well enough, I'm like, three teenagers in one house? Oh my gosh, I can't take this noise. So I ran away and got my current senior apartment, and I have a community garden down the street.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, that you've shared and shown before.
Yes, yes. So, did anybody have any questions about Auntie's life, or what you would like to know about somebody my age? One of the things we did in on Saturdays at my mom's house, I would get up early and bake. So the 14-year-old doesn't eat oatmeal. He doesn't like oatmeal. His
Uh
mother
huh.
got up one morning and said, Cam, what did Nana give? Did you have breakfast? Yes, Nana gave me breakfast. What did she give you? Oatmeal. Well, later on, she came back and she said, I thought it was funny. Cam doesn't eat oatmeal. I gave him oatmeal cookies. We made oatmeal cookies. And, and then I divided it in thirds, and each one of them would put whatever they wanted. One doesn't eat chocolate, one wanted nuts. So I said, Cameron, where did you put your cookies? He made six. He said, I hid them. So I looked all over the kitchen. Where did you hide them? In my stomach.
Perfect place.
Right?
That's the perfect hiding place.
Yeah, and my
You know what?
granddaughter and my daughter would say, Mom, don't give him that. That's my only job. That's my only
That's
job.
it.
And guess
To
what?
spoil.
They're going to be the ones that push my wheelchair. Not them. They're too old to push it. So the older ones. So the younger
Right.
ones, I butter them up. We have tailgate parties on my bed when I couldn't walk and go up and down the steps for the
Yes,
Super
ma'am.
Bowl. When I woke up from a coma, I had to learn how to walk, talk, read, everything again. The 14-year-old was 6. He would come in my room, read for me a half hour every day, and then ask me questions to see if I understood
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
what he read. And
Mm-hmm.
oh, that was pretty good, Nana. Then one day his little important self came with 100 math questions, and I had to do them in 1 minute. Well, I did them all, and this is goes back to what you said about old people and realizing what they are and what they know. And I
Yes,
got
ma'am.
all 100 of these little 1+1 questions correct. He was amazed. He was amazed. I said, Cameron, I'm not just your Nana. Do you know that Nana has a master's degree in business? I have 2 bachelor's degrees. I have 4 paralegal certificates. I used to teach
Nice.
college.
Yes,
I was an
ma'am.
adjunct professor. I went to law school 2 years. I had big jobs. I didn't. My job wasn't just being a nana always.
Right,
And that's what
right.
you forget about the older generation. They actually did stuff and earned a good living.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes.
And you know, Auntie Ellen, that's something that we have a few more minutes. That is something that well, we got all the time we need. I don't want to keep you all night. But for you to have accomplished some of the things that you've accomplished at the time that you accomplished them
Mhm.
makes an already daunting task, in my opinion, even more daunting. Yet you prevailed. Yet you succeeded and you survived, and you've grown into the lovely woman that we all see before us now. I also have a question. Um, you can describe it however you like to describe it, but from because you talked to us for about childhood, some in between, and you know some of the latter phases. What is one of the biggest one, or if one is too many, give us a few. What are some of the biggest changes that you've seen from your
Yes.
early life to 2022?
I think one of the biggest things I see is respect.
Mm.
You know, to you don't respect everyone, but you disrespect no one. Respect needs to and should be earned. I get that. But
Yes,
the
ma'am.
things I see now, a lot of the parents, including my granddaughter and her children, they want to be their kids' friends. My
Mhm.
parents didn't want to be your friends. My mother's my friend, Go Penny on Facebook. But if I go to her house Sunday when I get there and I say something sideways, she'll try to pop me if I'm too close to her.
Hey, yes,
You
Yes,
ma'am.
know,
ma'am.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
then and she'll tell you, she said, I am your mother. You're not my mother. You are
Mhm.
not
Yes,
my
ma'am.
mother. You don't tell me, I tell you.
Right. Right.
Yes,
No, that's
ma'am.
true. How can that not reshape society
Right.
to a degree
Right.
when certain levels of respect are lost? And that's why we so honored that you allowed us to like interview you and spend this time with you, because I know from watching you from the way that we correspond, because
Mhm.
we've been corresponding for a while, you obviously value respect, Auntie Ellen. And we say ma'am for a reason.
Yes.
No matter how old we are, you are our elder. And yes, like you said, respect is earned, but you've never done anything to not earn or warrant all
Our respect.
our
Yeah.
respect and admiration. So how can we not give that to you?
Right.
So
Thank
I
you.
agree with you totally.
And one other thing I is a big difference, and that's the value of a dollar. I mentioned my brothers going to work and daddy paying him, and us getting $1. Well, my great grandkids is cash apps. Hey, mom, put some money on my cash app. Uh, After school, oh, how did you get home? I Ubered. Come on, man, it's a small and a half. We walked, the stories, the snow up over our boots. And
Yes,
girls
ma'am.
didn't wear pants back in the days when I grew up in school. You wore
Yeah,
dresses. And my
I
dad
Mhm.
remember.
insisted that his daughters be allowed to wear pants in Connecticut, under their dresses to
Mm-hmm.
go to school with the weather. And living on plastic, I put myself in these times on a cash budget. I pay my bills, but what I
Yes, ma'am.
spend during the month, I take it in cash, and what I don't have, I don't get. I do without it. Or my daughter will say, "Well,
Mhm.
mom, you want to go to Arizona? We're having a big family celebration for Thanksgiving in Arizona." No, I already went to Arizona once this year. I spent what I'm
Yes,
going to
ma'am.
spend for that. I don't want or
Mhm.
need your money. I want to do what I want to do with my own money.
All
That's
right.
right. That's
All right.
right.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I think sometimes people mistakenly, because you can have certain forms of decline as we get older,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
not you.
Right.
not sharp as a tack.
Yeah,
And
we actually had a question about that. Let me see. I think it was Psalm. Let me see if I can find it.
oh, I'm sorry, I missed it.
No,
So
no, no, no. It's fine. It's fine.
we have a question in
Um,
the chat, Auntie Ellen.
if I can
Somebody
find
was
it.
trying.
Oh,
Where'd it
could I
go?
say one thing?
Oh,
Yes,
of
ma'am.
course,
Yes,
yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
People don't realize how old I am. That's why I use Auntie Ellen. You know, I don't have
Mhm.
Yes,
people
ma'am.
calling me by my first name. I'm not trying to be equal with kids. I equal respect, yes. Equal friendship, yes. But I
Yes,
think there
ma'am.
needs to be a certain line that people don't cross. And some of the pictures you see, they're not that old. I just decided to stop coloring my hair. I just don't have a lot. I have gray hair. It's mixed. But I'm 74. I'm supposed to have gray hair. I
Yes,
earned it.
ma'am.
Right.
You
Yes,
You
are
know,
ma'am.
that's
exactly.
my badge of honor. Ask me something. Ask me something you want to know about. Ask me something I did, and I will tell you. We're not equals. I've done some things that you need to find out about. Maybe I can help you not bump your head on some of the steps when you fall down like I did. I have made mistakes.
Absolutely.
Everything wasn't perfect.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Yes,
You
ma'am.
know, Auntie Ellen, I think those blurred lines, I won't say it's the cause of all of it, but it definitely is another element that adds salt to the open wound of our current society. Because as you get older, uh, like as the child, from the child's perspective, you get older, you have a different relationship with your parents than you do when you're a small child.
Hmm.
But it was always understood in our family
Right.
on both sides.
They're the parent.
They're
We're the
with the
child.
child, and it just, I mean, because you have to have respect in order to maintain the dynamics of that type of relationship. And once respect is gone, then I mean, what a lot of other stuff follows after that, as we
Right.
can see in 2022. So
And
yet
after a
again,
while, the children become the parents. My two barely know I have a YouTube channel. And if they knew some of the things I say kidding with you guys, ah man, I'd be on a timeout. They probably take my iPad, my phone, some of the things. But I'm just joking and having fun with you guys.
yes,
One of the
Right.
ma'am.
things, I had a hip and a knee replacement last year, and my daughter's walking behind me. Mom, shoulders back, head up. Who do you think taught you that? Your mom,
Right.
shoulders back, head up. Mom, do this. Mom, do that.
Mhm.
I just say okay with her and my son. Then I run away to my apartment and do whatever I want to do. I don't listen to them. They didn't listen to me. I'm not listening to them.
Well, you know, in our defense, as in our defense, us kids, it's hard when the roles don't reverse, but when you find yourself being concerned about your parents' health,
Right.
because y'all took care of us our whole lives, and
Yes.
then when it comes, yeah, it's a it's an interesting
It,
phase
it
of life.
is. It is.
Yeah. What was the question that?
Oh yeah. So Psalm 146 asks you, Auntie Ellen, what is your recipe for maintaining such a strong, vibrant memory?
I'm active. I do a lot of things that people my age don't do. Like, for example, this computer that I'm using today. It was a gift from my son a couple of years ago. I didn't use it. I'm used to using my iPad. When I went live today, you and I went back and forth, and I said, you know what? I have this expensive piece of equipment. I'm going to use it.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Every
ma'am.
day, I try to look up something I don't know how to do, something on YouTube, social media, just reading, watching the news and staying active. I exercise every day. A lot of early in the morning. I actually have an aide that comes in. She gets here at 6 o'clock in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I don't do any heavy cleaning or lifting. My garden, somebody has to, put the soil. They don't have to, but why should I do it if I don't have to?
Right.
Right.
I
Right.
plant the seeds, I do things, and I decide what is important. I have so much physical strength, so much mental energy. And at night, because I get up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I miss a lot of the lives that are in the evening because Auntie's taking her nap and I have glaucoma. I have one eye that I can see out of. So I rest my eyes and I rest in between.
Yes, ma'am.
Balance,
Yes,
balance
ma'am.
in food, balance in what you do. And the tasks that I have, short term, medium term, long term, I break them down. I do a little bit. I don't try to do it all.
That's a
Good strategy,
strategy. That's a
yes.
great strategy. And
You do get up early, Auntie
early.
Ellen, because when I was texting, I had sent you a message. I sent you an email last night. I was like, okay, I'll hear from her in the morning. And I looked, I was
Yes.
like, what is Auntie Ellen doing up
Oh,
this early?
I had just walked back in the house and she was like, I was okay. She was like, hey, I'm talking to Auntie Ellen, and I was like, what time is it over there? I was like, yeah, Auntie Ellen,
She
she up,
up.
she up, yeah.
Or some of the people like on Gigi Naturals group, I'm in it. Sometimes I accidentally butt dial them on IG. They'll say, "Oh, that's just Auntie Ellen turning over with the phone in the bed."
Yes, ma'am. Uh, thank you for everything that you do, the
Thank
energy that you bring, the wisdom that you bring. Thank you for sharing so much of yourself
Yes.
with us this Friday. And
I want to know a little bit more about these crafts and that what's going on behind you back
that's what I
there.
was going.
Oh my
Yeah.
That's
goodness.
beautiful.
Oh, do you don't really want to know? These are so many
What do you
quilts.
do?
Like a lot of my fabrics are actually hand carried by family members from different parts of the world. I believe in I pay a little bit higher for a lot of my fabrics, which is why I said I will teach people how to do some of the things that I do. I won't
Mhm.
charge. I would like to see all of you do some of these things.
See
But
that?
for example, some of the fabric that I buy from Africa, they're from the people that are hand dyeing it with the indigo and everything.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not buying, copycat fabric from some country that copycats everybody's stuff. I buy the
Right.
Mm-hmm.
genuine stuff. It might be $20 a yard, where I can go to Walmart or Hobby Lobby, not knocking them, and get it for $4 and $5 on sale. I try to get the genuine thing so that I can learn to appreciate it, that others can. Those are called the heritage arts, and I plan to go live more often on Thursdays 4 to 6 p.m. Instead of going and volunteering at different community centers, I will be going live at home. I have
All right.
different quilts here. Here's one that is done with African fabrics from a quilting group in Nigeria.
Oh, that's
Yes,
I
ma'am.
actually
beautiful.
have them send directly. I have
Auntie Ellen, can you hold it up again just a little bit so the people we can see it, everybody can see it. Just a few.
yes, yes.
Very nice.
Oh, that's
Thank you.
Very
beautiful.
nice.
The one in
Thank you.
back of me is actually an art quilt. It's a story quilt, and it's a freedom quilt. Regardless of what side you were on, whether the North or the South, everybody knows there was a civil war in the United States. This
Mhm.
Mhm.
is a story quilt. The blocks tell a different story of one of the quilts that would have been used as an Underground Railroad quilt, except I wrote my own story. I think for everyone who did escape on the Underground Railroad, each one has a different story. I wrote my own story and my own legend block. And this one I did in all African fabrics. I have another one that I've done in all batiks. I will be putting those in different museums. Those will not be for sale. I have another quilt that you've seen me working on. It's actually an outline of the continent of Africa. Each country is in a different African fabric.
Mhm.
Yes.
Beautiful.
That's so dope. That is
Wow.
I know how
so
to
dope.
basket weave. I can teach you guys how to make baskets out of clothesline rope and fabric. You do need a sewing machine, and you zigzag it and go around and around and make bowls. I learned
Wow.
we made a lot of the things growing up. We didn't go to the store and buy everything.
Yes,
Mhm.
ma'am.
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am. it was very common, even for me, even though I'm born in the 70s. My grandmother made a lot of what we used,
Yes.
ate, and of course, she taught my mom and her sister, my aunties and
Right.
my uncle. And I mean, again, we didn't have a washer and dryer in home until I was about 4 or 5, because it was just outside laundry. Before people knew some of the health risks related to lye, she used to make lye soap,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and we did a lot of stuff at home.
Yeah, we did too. And
I have a little antique washboard. How many of you in the chat know what a washboard is?
We do.
I have a small one. It's metal,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
mm-hmm.
that's what you used to rub your clothes on.
Ru-
You didn't have
Yep.
all
yes,
that
ma'am.
bleach and other stuff. You used that lye soap that was homemade. My grandmother's cooked on wood stove. I asked my aunts, well, how when you they made the best cakes, how did you know what to turn the oven on? They would say, well, you put the wood. Some of you who are going back to basics and prepping, you put the wood on the other side
Mm-hmm.
away from where you're baking your cake and move it around and
Yep.
things like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
Those are survival skills that I took for granted. I've always known them.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Home, like you mentioned earlier, homemade butter.
Mm-hmm.
From and when that's what I was thinking about when you said you want to get that cream from the top. It
Yes.
made me think about that homemade butter, because we from humble beginnings
Oh yeah.
around our parts,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of those things were just instilled because it was a necessity.
Right.
It was a
Right.
necessity for the sake of survival. And of course, as things have modernized, and like you said about the grandkids, the Ubers and the cash apps and stuff,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but back then people you needed to
Yeah,
make it.
and you needed to know how.
Hmm.
Auntie Ella, I just love your quilts. That rag quilt you made that video. It
Yes.
was late at night, and I was watching that video. I got a little teary eyed because it made me think of my grandma. My grandmother, she's still with us. Thank God, she's 101 years old.
Oh,
And
bless
I
her.
remember, yes, ma'am. And I remember she used to make hand quilts. She used to make them all the time. She had her fabric. She could. I remember helping her. I was really young, but I do remember helping her. And we had so many quilts. And it was one quilt in particular I just loved, and I took it with me, and I took it to college with me. And I think it's still at my parents' house now. I took it back. But because my mom was like, "Where you going with that quilt?" I was like, "This is my quilt. I'm taking this quilt with me." But I just love it, and I just think it's so amazing that you're keeping that tradition alive and that you're sharing that with your family, with your grandchildren. But I wanted to ask you, like, out of all the things you do, you're a master quilter, all this stuff. What is your favorite thing to create?
I am actually a mixed media artist. I'm going to do a video of a newspaper article about me when I was on my homestead in North Carolina. I actually owned it from 1982. I bought it as raw land and cleared it, built it up, had to pull electricity, all the stuff that some of you like Gigi, Naturals, and Eco are doing, to pull the
Mhm.
electricity from the nearest pole, in the electric co op, water, drilling your pipes, doing everything. Not having, I moved back down there to move back down there in 2009. Everything wasn't set up. I'm like, I'm not sleeping in there. There might be some snakes, some whatever. I went
Hmm.
and made a pallet in the back of my Jeep and slept for the first week. I never told my
Mhm.
Hey,
family. They would have had a fit. But
yes,
I
ma'am.
had like 10 Connie Corsos, and I had them in different places, tie outs and pens. And for those of you who don't know what a Connie Corso is, it's a pit bull on steroids. It's a
It
guard dog
is.
that
Yep.
weighs
It is.
170 pounds. I used to breed them
Woo.
and train them. And I used to train them with hand signals, everything for the military. When a lot of the people were deployed, I would take and board their dogs.
Wow.
because the
Uh-huh.
dogs knew me and I wasn't afraid of dogs. But I tell you, I didn't have any problems with raccoons, opossums, anything like that. Anything that moved on my property during the daylight when my dogs were out,
It
they
was
cleared
done.
it. They knew my goats. Well, sometimes the gardener would say, Miss Penny, there's a there's a dead rabbit over here. Well, get him up, get him up, get him out of here. And he would say, well, it ain't like he's the rabbit standing still. I'm like, these dogs are hunters. They hunt
Yes,
lions. They hunt wild
absolutely.
boars.
Yeah.
These are hunting dogs. If the hunters want to hunt on my property, they have to ask me for permission and I put my dogs up. Nothing could
Mhm.
cross my property, period.
That
That's
is
great.
what you want and
Right.
what you need right
Right.
there. For
Of course,
real.
Mr.
For real.
Mossberg and a few other family members were there too.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. A few other assisting tools to
Yeah.
help you,
Your
you
Mr.
know.
backup.
Browning, Mr. Smith,
M-
Mr.
m-
Wesson, Mr.
Mr.
Cole.
Wesson, Auntie Ellen. One more. I know we keep saying we're gonna let you go, but one
You're
more
my
question.
family. I have time for you, no matter what.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
thank you, Auntie Ellen. Plus, we got to sing Happy Birthday before
We
you
sure
go
do.
anywhere.
We sure do.
Oh,
But uh, why traditions? I think I know why they're so important, but you tell us, why are they important, Auntie Ellen?
that's one of the things I meant to talk to you about, but we were having so much fun. Traditions are the things that you fall back on when you hit the wall and you don't know what else to do.
Ooh. Mm.
Traditions give you precedent. Now, I have always been independent. I was always the one, the bold one in the family. My dad said I was the best son he never had. I take his toolbox and he go to work. I'm taking wheels off of things, making go-karts. I was always doing something, but I was fearless. I knew that my dad had my back. I knew that nobody with hands could whip my dad in the city of Connecticut. I knew that.
Yes, ma'am.
Nobody want part of Big Joe. You don't want me to go tell my daddy, or my
Yes, ma'am.
uncles, because they coming. They come. You
Right,
don't want
Right.
you don't want to be here when they come. So
right.
I had the courage to succeed and try anything, any profession, anything I wanted to do, and I always knew that I could go home. My
Yes.
parents always had my back. But the traditions, the things like when I didn't know what to do, when you wake up from a coma and you can't walk or you can't do anything, you think about your parents in your ear saying, come on, Pen, you got this. Take one more
Mhm.
step. Take one more step. My brother coming down to feed me because I couldn't feed myself, my Marine Corps brother, because my daughter couldn't stand it, her heart was too tender. And those traditions, those taking care of each other, sometimes your birth family is not the family for you.
Yes,
I say
ma'am.
it all the time.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
That's not family. Are the ones that love you and respect you and have your back, are there for you. Honestly spend more time with you guys in the gardening YouTube community than I do with my actual family. I do
Yes,
on the
ma'am.
weekends and I, spend some time, but I honestly think of you and I consider myself your auntie. If you go on Facebook, you'll see people, white, black, Spanish. Everybody calls me auntie. My nickname is Penny. That's what my family calls me, and it's not a matter of race. I'm auntie because it's like ma'am or miss.
Hmm.
It's sort of like a title, and for people who don't have family, I'm willing to be their family. When I went to my mom's house for my little birthday celebration Sunday, we had a cake that was bought. I baked a butter pound cake. Why? Because my family loves it. I baked two. I baked one for my building and I sliced it all up and took it around to my neighbors.
It look good too.
That's
I
what I
seen
did.
it.
You know, Auntie Ellen, if you can be in your generation and we can be in our generation and we can understand already. I feel like if I'm maneuvering in such a way that's even minutely close to the things that you've done and accomplished in your
Mhm.
life and the things that you've overcome, I especially love the all of it, but the latter part of what you said. When you recognize the value of yourself and your place in this life, like you said, not that they go away or that they don't exist, but if so, the race, the nationality, the ethnicity, all of those things fall underneath you being the person that you are and having this personality that just brings all of these other peoples together and makes them want to refer to you or even call you auntie in the first place. So when should I find myself, ourselves being blessed enough and fortunate enough to be your age and have your wisdom, um, I gotta go and say it, well done.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well done.
Could I
Your
say
flowers, your
one?
flowers should be given right now.
Could I say one more thing about tradition? My great
Yes,
great
ma'am.
grandson is 2, and at the time he's nonverbal, and he takes special education. You know, we have all the things in place to give him what he needs. But you
Mhm.
also see Nana on Sundays when I go there, I bought him a special plant. I bought him a little watering can and I taught him how to water the plants. You know,
Mm,
Mhm.
the
mm.
14-year-old, we made pallet gardens. You know, they will have skills. You can go to
Yes,
the
ma'am.
store, you can have a good job. But what if the stores don't have what you want or the quality
Right.
you need? You
Right.
can
Yes,
get
ma'am.
your own. You can get your own.
Yes, ma'am. Get your own, but you have to know that you need it and what to do with it once you get
Get
it,
it. Yep.
which is
Exactly.
where traditions come in.
Absolutely.
It is not all for naught. You encourage me because I find myself as I'm growing older, we're growing older. I find certain things that we've learned encouraging the generation behind us. So even though Auntie Ellen, you such an encouragement because it's easy. Well, at least it is for me. I ain't gonna speak for you. You a bad woman now. I ain't gonna speak for you. I speak for myself. Sometimes it's discouraging when you see the way of the world and you see, things that used to be so important and mean so much kind of going by the wayside. But even if it's just one or two or a handful of the young people listening, everything you do and say is worth it.
Do you know the poem If by, I think, Rudyard Kipling? It says, if you can keep your head when all about you or losing theirs and blaming it upon you. I can't recite the whole thing anymore, but I used to know it by
Yes, ma'am.
heart when I was younger. And, you know, it doesn't matter what the world around you is doing. Like that commercial with the Schlitz malt liquor bull and the guy sitting on a little thing and the shark is biting everything. Doesn't matter
Yes,
what
ma'am.
everything around you is doing. Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Y'all
Yes.
heard it. Did y'all hear that?
Yes.
Did y'all hear that? That's from Auntie
That's
Ellen.
from Auntie Ellen.
Do you?
Do you?
You better stay focused on whatever you focused on and do you.
Yes. Auntie Ellen, any more words of advice, encouragement from you living the life that you live? Because you have an amazing story. You are an intriguing woman. Um,
Man, really.
any any advice to the younger generation that's coming along and the world is changing
It's
and
worldly.
it's interesting out there. But any words of wisdom or advice to us that we can take with
Yes.
us?
Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Ooh.
Woo.
Because this world, the people you think you see, for example, I forgot who it was. Was it Tupac or somebody? This is when you look in their eyes and their lips are smiling and their eyes don't smile. What's up?
Mhm.
What's
Mm-hmm.
up?
Mm,
What's
mm.
up?
Woo. Woo.
Y'all heard it. Y'all heard it.
Wow.
Keep your enemies. Ooh, Auntie Ellen came with it.
Yes, she
I would.
did. I would. I knew she would.
Auntie Ellen, and we got to. You deserve this. You done said about 4, 5 things, babe. Can we
But we,
love Joan?
yes, we can love Jones.
We
I thought
got
you
the
were gonna say
love
we got
Joan snap.
snap. Yes,
We got the love Joan snap for Auntie
that's
Ellen
right.
Thank
because she
you.
dropping this knowledge. She dropping these facts.
That's
She's
right.
dropping these truths.
That's right.
Ooh, everybody
Well,
ain't
when I'm
your
with you
friend.
guys, when
Everybody.
I talk to you, I treat you just like I would my own family. No different. My grandchildren, if they come to me straight up, look them in the eye, and I tell them what I honestly believe. And I think you can respect that, whether you agree with it or not. You know it's coming from my heart, and you know that I have your best interests at heart.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
And we believe that, and we receive that.
Yes,
A
ma'am.
100%. 100%. This has been great.
This has been amazing. So, Auntie Ellen, our last question before we sing you out, because we got to sing happy birthday.
Got to sing
Thank
But
happy
you.
birthday.
one last question. As far as your channel, what are your hopes and your dreams for your channel? What do you want to do with your channel?
Well, now that I see that my being, my thoughts, my energy is received, I will do better. I will do better as far as producing more content, putting the cameras up, sharing what I know.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
You
We
know,
need it.
what they say, each one reach one, each one teach one. I will do
Yes,
better
ma'am.
at sharing what I know.
Yes, ma'am. Auntie Ellen, we receive it. We need it. We want it.
Yes.
I'm sure plenty of other folk out there who listening and who will watch the replay want it because I am an adamant, avid believer, repeater, and sayer of a truth that I've discovered in my short time in this life. You have elders and you have olders.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
have older people who still running around being just as silly as they were in their early 20s. Their mentality is childish. Their idea and approach towards life is childish, undisciplined mentally, and all kinds of other stuff. That's fine. That ain't where I want to get my knowledge from. I want to reach out and have knowledge given and received from an elder. You are the essence and the epitome of what an elder is on so many different levels. And there's different ways to present it. Now, you can be the elder that's like, this my family. I ain't gonna teach nothing to nobody. Because honestly, I'm more of that type. But you share your love, knowledge, and wisdom with all.
Mm-hmm. All that seek it
All that seek
and
it.
are willing to receive it.
That means something.
But can I just
That,
tell you one thing? One
yes,
last
ma'am.
thing. Auntie Ellen's kind, but she's not weak. I'll tell you about when I was a
Absolutely.
police officer. Have you ever heard of the word silent insolence? That was the one
Mm.
time I got written up. I had on my uniform, and the uniform, your gig line is supposed to line up, match up for people who don't know what that is.
Yes,
While
ma'am.
women's uniform, the shirt buttoned on one side, the pants buttoned on another. This
Oh,
the sergeant, one of the superiors, comes up to me and he telling me my gig line isn't straight.
uh-huh.
What? I am Joseph Pinky Sr.'s daughter.
All
Who
right.
in I don't know who you think you're talking. I didn't say one word. Now, mind you, I'm armed. And this man is standing in front of me. I'm supposed to be in attention. I gritted my teeth. I looked at him. I was so mad. I was trembling mad, about to.
Uh-huh.
He wrote me up for silent insolence. I'm not the one. When the line gets
Wow.
crossed, I don't
Yes,
even know
ma'am.
who you're going to see over there because I go to PTSD counseling every Tuesday at 11 o'clock, which is why I'm not around. Still,
Yes.
you don't want that. You don't want what's on the other side of the line. You don't even want to know.
She ain't about them games. She ain't
Right.
playing them games
That's
with
right.
y'all.
You gonna check me?
Who gonna check me, boo?
Yeah, who gonna check me, boo?
Hey,
I love it.
I
I
love it
love
too.
it.
This has really, really been great.
Yes.
I ain't know what all you gonna come with. I knew you gonna drop some knowledge.
Of
I knew
course.
you gonna drop some gem, but I didn't know you gonna come with it. Come with it.
Right.
Oh, thank you.
But if you'll allow us, we would like to sing.
Yes.
And wherever y'all at, you can type it in the chat. Again, you can do whatever you want to do.
you.
We ask y'all to sing it with us wherever y'all at. If you in the kitchen, if you in the car, if you in the grocery store, then go over by the bread. It'll absorb the sound. Go over by the bread over in the bakery so y'all can sing real quick. And we're going to sing happy birthday to Auntie Ellen because this is her birthday month.
The
Yes.
whole month.
The whole month.
The whole month.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Auntie Ellen.
Thank you, everybody. I love you all. Thank you very much.
We love you too,
Thank you,
Auntie Ellen.
Auntie
Thank
Ellen.
you. Much
Thank
love,
you.
much love. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for all you do.
Yes.
And just keep being Auntie Ellen.
Keep being Auntie Ellen.
And
Yes.
thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. It's our honor.
Yes.
It's our
You
honor.
have an open invite. You can come whenever you like. Over here to
Thank
Afrikan Dreamin.
Anytime.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Auntie Ellen. We love you.
Love you back, everybody.
All right.
Love
Bye.
you.
She signed it.
Yes.
Bye, Auntie Ellen.
Bye-bye. Goodbye, everybody in the chat.
They say about Auntie Ellen and happy birthday.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Peace and blessings.
Peace, love, and blessings.
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all, that was Auntie Ellen. Man, my heart is so full. I'm so happy she was able to be here with us. Drop that knowledge. We could have talked to Auntie Ellen for a very long time. But as y'all see, Auntie Ellen is not stopping. Auntie Ellen be busy and she got things to do. Okay.
Things to do. Because she about that life.
Exactly.
Hey, until we see y'all in another few hours, y'all already know what it is. You know what to do. I know what I'm going to be doing.
I know what I'm going to be doing.
I got a good idea about what we both going to be doing, man. Yeah. We going to be over here being country in another country. Peace. Well,